In today's episode of Jen on Brand, I want to talk to you about the iconic Michael Jordan. Yes, happy birthday, MJ. Oh my goodness, what a career. In this video today, we are going to go deep talking about what I think the personal brand is of Michael Jordan. Come along with me. We're going to talk more today about Michael Jordan. Yes, the iconic basketball player known as the greatest basketball player of all time. I want to talk to you about what I think his personal brand is. So to give you a little bit of background, and of course we're doing this today because it's Michael Jordan's birthday here on February 17th. He was born in 1963 to James and Dolores, and he was born in New York. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and take these guys off because I think it's starting to get a little bit much for me. Anyhow, when we think about Michael Jordan and we think about this iconic brand, this amazing man, right? There's a lot of things that so many of you just immediately go to, right? Like I bet if you're thinking of Michael Jordan, the first thing that comes to mind is the Air Jordan, right? Him flying through the air. That picture was taken during the second slam dunk contest that he had entered. And so the photographer captured that picture, and still to this day, so many years later, it is there. It has captured our attention as a society and all around the world. Also, when you think of Michael Jordan, you immediately associate him with the Nike brand, right? They were the ones who really helped to push that. But here's a little thing that I found kind of interesting is actually Michael Jordan didn't want to go with Nike. He wanted Adidas, but Adidas didn't pony up as much money as Nike did. And so he went with Nike instead. Fascinating. Also, that the first pair of Air Jordans, Michael Jordan didn't like them. He didn't want to wear them. And so it's really interesting to think how much we are persuaded by money when it comes to our brands, right? But now, of course, you can look at all these many years later, it's been able to do a lot of remarkable things for him. So I'm not going to give you a full-on background of all of his basketball highlights. You can find all sorts of information about that out there on the internet. But a couple of other things I think are kind of interesting that kind of come along with Michael Jordan and who he is. And all this is going to lead to me telling you what I think his personal brand is. By the way, if you're liking what I'm doing with this and you'd like to see me do this about other famous people, please make sure you comment and let me know who you'd be interested in me doing a personal brand expose on, all right? So other than Nike, he's also associated with Gatorade. Do you remember the whole Be Like Mike thing? Yes, okay. Hugely, hugely popular. Also Coca-Cola and Hanes. In his own professional endeavors, he has been a restaurateur. He has also owned a motorcycle racing team and a motor raceway. He's done a lot of philanthropic work. And something interesting about him in basketball is that he's the first former NBA player to become a major owner in a team, the first one to be a major owner. It's kind of interesting. You think how much money he amassed, right? Then what he was able to go and do with that. In 2015, he was the first pro athlete to be added to the Forbes International Billionaire list. So 10 years ago, he was the first pro athlete to be added to that billionaire list. Also, he got his degree in from UNC, University of North Carolina, right? Go Tar Heels. And he was going to get his degree in cultural geography. And I'm like, what's cultural geography? Like, I don't even, what is this? It sounds like some kind of like, I don't know, basic thing. Like, okay, is he just doing this degree because he can get through the classes really easy or something? But actually, it's because if he didn't succeed in basketball, he was going to have a career of being a weatherman. That was his backup career, which just cracks me up. I can't even imagine Michael Jordan as a weatherman, right? Oh my goodness. And in 2009, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And so there's a lot of interesting things here, right, about Michael Jordan. Yes, he had an amazing career. He did all of these great things. There are also some people that did not like him also. There's always going to be detractors. So when it comes to our personal brands, not everybody's going to love us. They aren't. They just aren't going to love us. And so when you think about that, though, he's still pushed. And so I want to share with you what I think his personal brand is. And it's based off of this quote. He says, "I've always believed that if you put in the work, the results will come. And I believe that Michael Jordan's personal brand is work as an acronym. W meaning winning mindset, O being overtly competitive, R, relentless effort, and K, kingly demeanor. Let me share with you a little bit more about how I have arrived at this. So first of all, with winning mindset, I'm going to share with you a quote and a little bit about this. So the quote from Michael Jordan is, you have to expect things of yourself before you can do them. So I want you to think about like that mental game he was expecting of himself. He was going through the mental mindset work, watching himself, thinking himself through how to do things on the court and whatnot, right? And then the mindset that comes from eating right, having his very intense exercise regimen. On an average, he worked out for 5 hours. And so to do those kinds of things, like mentally, you have to do it. It's hard to stick with the regular workout plan for most people to just do something for like a half an hour for 4 or 5 days a week, right? And so he was going, nope, nope, no. Having that winning mindset pushed him to go and to do those things. And so that happened long before he actually stepped foot on the court. He would have that winning mindset. He would push. And then, overtly competitive. He says this, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Right? So he pushes himself, he pushes his team. He's like, nope, we can do better. We can make this happen. It can go better. Funny little thing about Michael Jordan is back in 1995, he was really frustrated with himself. They hadn't done as well as a team, and he was really frustrated, and it was at a practice. And so his teammate, Steve Kerr, who only was with him for a few years, he and Steve were put up against each other, okay, point guards. And so, and it was frustrating because Michael Jordan wasn't feeling as great as he could be doing, as well as he could be performing. Ultimately got so upset, he ended up punching Steve Kerr in the face, gave him a big old black eye. And the next day, Michael Jordan went and apologized to him. He actually called him also and apologized, left a message, but he went up to him and apologized. And they talked about for 20 minutes. He and Steve Kerr, became two really respectful of each other people. They recognized we're going to help push each other to get even better. And at some point, he even told coach, you need to give the ball to Steve so that we can win the game. And so, and Steve Kerr was known for his 3-point shots. He did such a good job with those. And so, so he gave Steve that opportunity, and Steve won that. Okay. And so I want you to think about that. And sometimes in our life, there's people who are detractors. Now, Michael Jordan definitely has detractors, people who don't like him. There's other teammates who are like, Michael Jordan doesn't win just on his own. He's not the only guy on the team, right? But a lot of times, media and stuff, they put all that emphasis. They're like, oh, Michael Jordan, MJ, amazing Michael, Jordan, 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 right? And so, but the other teammates, they're like, well, what about the rest of us? We're also doing things here, right? And so, so there can sometimes be that strife that can happen in your brand, and that's going to happen. You're going to have detractors. You're going to have people who don't like you, they don't respect you, and they may misunderstand you as well. And so, so just think about that when it comes to building your own brand, right? But back to Michael Jordan. So, but regardless, he's just like, we're going to fail, but that's how we're also going to succeed. And he recognized every little bit that he did to succeed would help others to succeed as well, and keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It gets better and better. So the R in work is relentless effort. His quote says this, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying. So I want you to think about when his father was murdered, he had the opportunity to stop and kind of reassess his life. And one thing that his dad was really super passionate about was baseball. And when Michael Jordan was in high school, he played baseball, basketball, and football. Ultimately left it all behind to focus on basketball. And his dad, though, his dad loved baseball. And so after his dad was murdered, which is like sad and all sorts of horrible things about that, Michael Jordan took a step back, and he was like coming off of like this amazing highlight of his life. Okay, so he'd been on the 1992 Dream Team for the Olympics when the American team won at the Barcelona Summer Olympics. He had won different, national championships and whatnot. But then when his dad died, this person who was like his one of his number one supporters, his dad was his very first coach. He needed to take a chance to just stop and say, or take a time, excuse me, take the time to stop and say to himself, okay, what's going on? And so, as a tribute to his dad, at least that's the way I look at it. I think that that's what I've read about, is a lot of people look at it as a tribute to his father. He went and he played baseball. He never made it to the pros. He was definitely in one of the lesser leagues. But when he did that, he also applied this whole relentless effort to it, because his body and his mind was geared for basketball at that point. He knew what he needed to do. His body understood the moves and how. So baseball, totally different. It's completely different sport. You're gonna the little the muscle nuances, and it's going to be very, very different. And so he had to learn that. So he put himself back in that place of, I'm going to learn. But he was relentless about it, and he pushed. And ultimately, he decided not to do it. He was only there for a season, but he absolutely pushed himself. He had that relentless effort. And I think a lot of it ties back to an homage to his father and having that relentless effort of, I love my dad and I love my family. And he always credited his parents as being his heroes, which I think is amazing. And so, but he was relentless about going and pushing, to push himself to go do that thing. And then ultimately he went back and got back into basketball again. And now let's talk about K in work, which is kingly demeanor. The quote is this: to be successful, you have to be selfish, or else you never achieve. And once you get to your highest level, then you have to be unselfish. Stay reachable, stay in touch, and don't isolate. So when I think of kings, of kingdoms and whatnot, a lot of them recognize how important it is that they don't isolate, that they don't stay by themselves. Instead, they will do things to connect with other kingdoms, right? Like they may have their children marry children from other kings, right? So they can have those connections and whatnot. And so that way they can have that support. And if other kings from other places should come, then they're going to be able to support each other, etc. But this whole kingly demeanor, also, you elevate yourself and you're doing it for the benefit of a lot of people. And I really think that that's something about Michael Jordan. I think that he recognized and he elevated himself for the benefit of a lot of other people, not only in his family, but also for those that he played with, but also for the sport. Michael Jordan came in and he really pushed the sport to another level. Yes, there have been other amazing athletes in basketball too, but he had that kingly demeanor, and he still has that kingly demeanor of, let me help lift you up. Because when you think of a king, a lot of times they're up on a platform, right? You think of the big throne and they're up a little bit higher. And so that's something that I see Michael Jordan doing now. Like he reaches out, he lifts people up, he helps people to grow through his philanthropic efforts, through what he does in mentoring of other pro athletes, what he does with helping the teams, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that he does that has that kingly demeanor, but he also knows not everybody's going to like him, and it's going to be hard, and that's okay, because not everybody likes a king. They really don't. Okay. And so, so even though they're like, oh, like you're the best, whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to like you, but you go for it. So again, when I put all of this together, and it comes this whole idea of his personal brand being work, which is winning mindset, overtly competitive, relentless effort, and kingly demeanor. It comes from a wonderful quote of his that I'll repeat again. It says, I've always believed that if you put in the work, the results will come. On my blog, you're going to find all of these great quotes in there, as well as some other additional quotes. And so you can pop over there and grab that for yourself. Like this video. And also remember to comment down below, who are some other pros, some other famous people that you would like for me to basically do a review of what I think that their personal brand is. And so hats off to you, Michael Jordan. Put these glasses back on for you again. Happy birthday. Keep doing the things. Keep being having that winning mindset, overtly competitive, relentless effort, and kingly demeanor. Thanks so much for joining me. If you are ready to know more about your personal brand, you want to have that thing determined so you can go leverage it to have great success in your life, okay, in the things that you are doing, please get in touch with me. We'll schedule consultation and discuss how personal branding can help you so that you can go grow and do those amazing things that you want to with your personal brand. All right, my friends, go grow your brand.